Now, the Carlton recruiting manager is Shane Rogers. He joins us right now in Gillette Trade Radio. Shane, welcome to the program.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, mate, I appreciate you getting out of bed. It's the Carlton B&F last night. I assume you got a sore head to celebrate what, in the end, was a finals year?
Yeah, look, it was a bit different this year. I actually had a bit of an operation, so I didn't end up going last night. All the boys at the draft camp went. So I'll probably be the brightest at the draft combine today.
All right, mate. Let's kickstart with Eddie Betts because there's been plenty of interest. We believe Adelaide and North Melbourne are the two that are sniffing around. And obviously you would assume that Carlton have made a pretty good offer to the man who was All-Australian just over 12 months ago.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. We actually think we've made a pretty decent offer, and we obviously love Eddie. And he's done a lot for the club, but the club's also done a lot for him. So, the rumour is that Adelaide and North have both put an offer in. We haven't heard from either of those clubs. His managers, since about halfway through the year, said, another couple of weeks and we'll sit down and talk about it, but those talks have been put on hold for a long time. So we obviously think something's up, so we assume that he'll let us know soon.
What's the feedback, Shane, from the management and from Eddie Betts? What's the feedback as to why he hasn't quite signed a contract at Carlton and why he might be looking elsewhere?
Look, it's a lot more money than we're offering, and you've got to be responsible when you're in these positions as an AFL club and try and look after everyone, even though yesterday's announcement blew us all out of the water. We've got, obviously, 45 players that we've got to look after, so we've got to be responsible, and Eddie's got to fit into where we think the team structure's going and the pay scales that we have at the club. So I think both of those offers, and it's only rumour, are much more than what we've offered, and for longer term. So that's probably where he's at the moment. He's trying to shore up his long-term future.
Shane, the biggest name around, apart from Lance Franklin in this trade period, is obviously Dale Thomas. Carlton have made their intentions known. They'd love to have Dale Thomas at their footy club. Where does that sit at the moment?
Yeah, look, I think that'll probably come to light over the weekend. You're right, we've obviously put in an offer. We haven't made that formal yet, but we're just waiting back to hear from his manager to see what Dale's actually thinking. But we're quietly confident that we might be able to do something there, and then obviously Collingwood gets a chance to match that offer. So it's a funny period, Brownie, isn't it? Like, wasn't that long ago we had to actually trade with a club. Now players have the ability to just walk and go for the better money. So
exactly. Yeah, does it make it a little bit murky the way obviously Mick Malthouse ended with Collingwood and Eddie and Mick? And the two clubs have got massive history, Carlton, Collingwood. Does it make it that much harder?
Oh, look, I think it's always hard. Essendon's obviously hard to deal with, and not through Essendon's fault or Carlton's fault. It's just one of those traditional things that bob up, and Collingwood's another one. Very rare that you'll trade players from Collingwood to Carlton or vice versa. And Essendon's a bit the same. It's actually a historical thing that it hasn't been easy to do deals with both of those clubs, and they'd say the same about us. We think that we don't like giving up good players, and neither do those two clubs, so it always makes it difficult.
Shane, has Dale Thomas done a fitness club for you?
A fitness
test, rather?
Yeah, we've put him through 2 or 3 medicals at this stage, and we've obviously got some information from Collingwood as well, so... And that's just due diligence. Every player goes through those medicals, so there's nothing sinister.
How much of a concern is that ankle, and have the fears, I guess, subsided after he's done those 3 fitness run-throughs?
Yeah, look, we're comfortable with what the doctors have told us, so we'll proceed down the path. So, yeah, no dramas from our end.
A little bit of talk getting around. I think the Age reported this morning that Mitch Robinson might be a target or might be shopped around, and Port Adelaide might be a potential suitor. Is Mitch Robinson a required player, or do you expect that maybe there's a chance he might be moved on?
Yeah, I was glad you asked me about that. That was the first I heard about it in the Age this morning. Mitch Robinson, as far as I'm concerned, we have 4 on our list management committee: the CEO, the coach, obviously the footy manager, and myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't spoken to them this morning because obviously they'd probably still get home from the best and fairest.
Well, they might be home by now, maybe.
They might be home. Swanee would be a struggle, but yeah, the rest of them will be home. I obviously only get one vote. Under no circumstances is Mitch Robinson going anywhere, in my view.
Oh, I think he's a very good player also. One area Carlton do struggle in is the outside ball, the uncontested footy on the outside. That's obviously why you're trying to get Dale Thomas to your footy club. Is there anybody else on that horizon that you'd like to get to Carlton that you're speaking to at the moment to add to that run and carry on the outside?
Yeah, they're obviously hard to find good players. Look, and I won't be able to go through names. We would have spoken to 15 different players from various clubs at various shapes and sizes, just to do again, due diligence.
Can you give us one, Shane? Taylor Adams?
We've spoken to Taylor Adams,
Yep.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a secret. So, but in saying all that, the draft's coming. We think we can find some good players there. Clubs have got varying views of how the draft's going to go. We think it might be okay early. So we'll try and address some of the needs through the draft period as well.
Heath Scotland is a guy whose future's been up in the air. He was best and fairest winner 12 months ago. A year that I guess didn't start off on the great note with the imposed ban, but then some injuries through the year. But thought he got pretty good service out of him later in the year. I think he's had ankle surgery in the last 2 weeks rather. Has he been offered a 1-year contract for next year?
I can't really answer that at this stage, only because he's probably going through whether he plays on or not at this stage.
Where's he leaning? Do you know?
Well, that's the thing. We've had a bit of a hold-up. We don't actually know at the moment. So that'll, again, I'm not trying to dodge the question, but with trade week coming, that'll probably come to light in the first week of trade week. So we'll know a little bit more next week.
Shane, against your direct opponents this year, you were number one ranked for contested marks, but that obviously didn't correlate into inside 50 marks. Do you speak to somebody like a Jesse White who is looking to leave Sydney?
Yeah, Jesse White was of some interest. It was down the pecking order a little bit. You'll laugh at this one. We're after a strong-bodied midfielder, centre forward, a centre back, and an outside runner. So we don't have many needs that we're after.
Look, Shane, I reckon I'm still pretty fit. I could come in. Eddie Betts goes out the door. I barracked for Carlton as a youngster. I drank out of the 95 Premiership Cup. I'm happy to come down and sit in the pocket, tell me.
Well, Brownie, we're both from Bendigo, so that gives you half a chance of getting a game. So.
How about Brent Staker? Is he above the pecking order of Jesse White?
No. Won't probably go down that path. I think he's a required player at Brisbane, so touch wood for him. I think he'll sign pretty soon with Brisbane.
Now, the GWS Giants haven't backed away from their idea or their statements that they are willing to trade the number one draft pick, probably even more so now that they need some experienced guys to come in with the Buddy Franklin decision.
Yeah.
Matthew Cruiser and Bryce Gibbs were branded untradeable by Mick Malthouse around 2 months ago. They're obviously the two probably high-profile guys that GWS are after. Would there be any thinking, as the Giants continue to try and push this number one draft pick and shop it around, that either of those two men could be available?
But both of those are required players, mate, so I couldn't see under any circumstances they'd be going anywhere. We've explored a number of options. He's another Carlton supporter, so we've tried our best over the past 12 months to come up with a cunning plan. But at this stage, it doesn't look likely. But I can guarantee Carlton supporters that we've tried nearly every option.
You've got two other ruckmans other than Cruiser. You've got Matty Warnock, who played well in the finals, and then you've also got Sean Hampson, who it looks like Richmond might be interested in. Is Sean Hampson going to be at Carlton next year?
Oh, look, he's contracted, and that's the standard line that we'd like him to be at Carlton. But he's actually received a fair bit of interest around the clubs that we've met so far. So it's obviously up to Sean what he wants to do. But yeah, Richmond has shown probably the most interest. We've got a lot of interest from a couple other clubs. So
what would Richmond have to offer back the other way for Sean Hampson?
Oh, look, if it would have happened, I'd probably ask for a draft pick.
Where would you be, second rounder?
Yeah, it's always hard. Like, people at the club will say first round. I'd probably say second round, but we're not making the offer, so that's down to Richmond. They'll have to come up with the offer.
When it comes to those situations and you go and there's a player being offered somewhere else and the club wants him, and we'll use Sean Hampson in this example, obviously, but like when it comes to a guy, when you can clearly see you got Matthew Cruiser and you got Robbie Warnock in front of him, how much harder does that make it to try and upsell his value to a prospective club?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Poor old Sean's had a number of little niggly injuries, and they haven't been sort of major ones, but they've kept him out for periods. He 2 years ago, I think it was, had to play as the main ruckman. Cruz went down with the knee, and Robbie had a shoulder, so he became our number one ruckman and actually did a really good job. I just think he lacks a little bit of opportunity to play that number one ruck role, and like most big blokes that play in those roles, if they're the main ruckman, they grow a lot of confidence quickly. So he just needs to get in and play his own role. Now, in saying that, for us, we obviously don't have a key centre forward, so he pinch hits there, and he does a reasonable job for us. So we only need an injury to one of those two ruckmen, and Sean Hampson steps up. So we'd be reluctant to let him go. But as I said, it's up to the suitors to make the offers.
Shane, take us behind the scenes of a list manager when he speaks to a coach, and obviously Mick Malthouse he's a scary man sometimes when he does his press conference. What's it like? Do you both get in there, throw up ideas, and is it, you know, a 50-50 joint effort, or does Mick sort of try and dominate it? How does it all work with Mick?
Look, I've worked with Mick before, only as a part-timer at Collingwood when I was there, and he's not as scary as what he comes across in the media, although he likes that scary outline. So he likes to think he's a little bit tougher than he is, I think. But he's really good with recruiting. He lets me do my own thing. I just have to present, obviously, who I'm thinking about in the recruiting sense, and he just rubber stamps it. What was he saying? I think he says, let the baker bake the bread, but he said, just make sure you give me a good loaf.
Very
That's
good.
his favourite. But with trade time, there's 4 of us on list management. We all throw up ideas. We're obviously trying to plan for long term and any deficiencies we might have on our list. So we basically go through every club's list. We meet sort of fortnightly every month, sort of around those figures, depending on what time of the year it is, and go through every club list and try and identify players that suit our needs.
Now, just to knock this little rumour that Brownie and I are about to start, just want to knock it that you're not going to shock the football world and offer Dale Thomas a 10-year contract just to up the ante on Sydney?
No, but geez, I started thinking of some weird stuff last night, dreaming. You know, imagine if you gave a player 20 years and gave him $100,000 a year. Be a good deal, wouldn't it?
Do you think that the AFL might try and block this whole situation, or do you think there's no way they could do it?
Oh, I think they'll really investigate it, and if there's any loopholes in it, I think they'll come down pretty hard, because, as you can tell, every radio station's gone berserk this morning with people that are upset with the deal. So I don't talk about any other clubs, but yeah, our players must be grossly overpaid.
Did you at all investigate or speak to the management of Lance Franklin and see if you could get him to Carlton?
No.
Cool.
No.
Hey, Shane, we appreciate your time. I have a feeling we'll probably chat again in the next couple of weeks, because amazingly it doesn't all kick-start free agency till Monday, and the trade period's the next Monday, but there's plenty going around, mate. Good luck between now and then, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks very much, guys. See you soon.
Cheers,
Shane
Shane.
Rogers from the Carlton Football Club.